Isn't it rather interesting that economists almost always make wrong predictions? And when they do get it right, we can only wish it was a miss again because, well, it is always calamity. Why do economists do this anyway? Because it is their job. Not being a doomsayer, though, but making economic forecasts. Simply put, economic forecasting is the process of making predictions about the economy. It can be carried out at a high level of congregation, like making predictions concerning GDP, inflation, or unemployment rate, or at a more divided level, for more specific parts of the economy, or even particular organizations. Apart from it being a professional duty for economists, it is carried out because, like it or not, it helps organizations and the world at large to make the best decisions per time. If economic predictions end up being right, institutions that failed to take those forecasts seriously and didn't bother making adjustments to their processes fall victim to the negative predictions and invariably suffer the consequences. Much like failing to step out with an umbrella after the weather forecast read rainy day today. While it is easy for random people to disdain economic forecasts, larger bodies like national governments, banks, companies, and international organizations such as the IMF and World Bank treat them with utmost relevance. More than giving unsolicited prophecies, what economists really do is to tactfully consider risks that can arise and disrupt the status quo using a variety of information to promote accuracy. These risks show the reasoning process used in arriving at the final forecast details. Now, of all economists, a few stand out for their contribution in world economics. One of such is Dr. Roubini, a senior economist in the Council of Economic Advisors for the Clinton administration, senior advisor to Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, professor at Yale and a consultant to the World Bank, Federal Reserve, and International Monetary Fund. Roubini eases through real problems like a hot comb through thick hair, providing clarity on economic issues above all else. With an astonishing skill in predicting impending calamity, Roubini graduated from being a Cassandra to a sage. In fact, investors and organizations have learned to ignore Roubini at their own loss. It all began in 2006. The Turkish-born American economist stood before an audience of economists at an international event, announcing that a global financial crisis was underway. He warned that there was a high chance that the United States was going to face a once-in-a-lifetime housing crash, an oil shock, sharply declining consumer confidence, and ultimately, a deep recession, and that it was only a matter of a few months to a few years before it happened. In the meeting, the professor of economics highlighted a sequence of events that would happen, such as homeowners defaulting on mortgages, trillions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities worldwide, and the global financial system failing greatly. He went on to say that those developments could cripple or destroy hedge funds, investment banks, and other major financial institutions. You could hear the silence as skepticism swept the room. No doubt, no one believed it. As Roubini stepped down from the podium, the moderator of the event quipped, "I think perhaps we will need a stiff drink after that." Then the silence gave way to cynical laughters. The skepticism was quite understandable, though, because at the time, unemployment and inflation remained low, and the economy, while weak, was still growing, despite rising oil prices and a softening housing market. Before long, Roubini's prediction became the topic. Everyone wanted to say something about it, including Anirvan Banerjee, another prominent economist. Anirvan Banerjee went on to say that Roubini's predictions did not make use of mathematical models and unapologetically dismissed his forecast as those of a career naysayer. But Roubini was soon vindicated. True to Roubini's predictions, in the year that followed, subprime lenders began entering bankruptcy, hedge funds began going under, and the stock market plunged. There was declining employment, a deteriorating dollar, ever-increasing evidence of a huge housing crisis, and a growing air of panic in financial markets as the credit crisis deepened. When Roubini returned to the same platform the following year, he delivered a second talk, predicting a growing crisis of solvency that would infect every sector of the financial system. This time, no one laughed. "He sounded like a madman in 2006, recalls the IMF economist Prakash Lungani. He was a prophet when he returned in 2007. By 2008, The Federal Reserve was rushing to the rescue, making the first of many unconventional interventions in the economy, including cutting the lending rate by 50 points and buying up tens of billions of dollars in mortgage-backed securities. Roubini was right after all. Recently, Roubini wrote a book titled Megathreats. In his book, he highlighted some global economic hazards, stating that the debt crisis of our lifetimes lies ahead. He quipped that the whole world is playing financial delinquency, much like Argentina, which has defaulted on its debt 9 times since its independence in 1816. Much to this claim, by the end of 2021, global debt, both public and private, had exceeded 350% of the world's gross domestic product. According to Roubini, the mother of all debt crises seems inevitable, either this decade or next. As if explicit debts were not enough to worry about, implicit debts are even more alarming. The reality is that even the richest societies are not rich enough to deliver on all the promises made to the rising number of pensioners. As a point of fact, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has estimated that unfunded or underfunded government pension liabilities in the top 20 economies amount to a staggering $78 trillion. Without doubts, implicit debt is a major time bomb and a severe megathreat. Also, Roubini seems to lack confidence in the coping skills of the current crop of central bank governors across the globe, stating that they are not ready for the impending challenge. Outstanding economists, such as the Federal Reserve's Ben Bernanke and the European Central Bank's Mario Draghi, have been replaced by the current league of lawyers and regulators. The most probable fact is that they will do nothing to stop stagflation. That is, the terrible combination of stagnant growth and rising prices. According to Roubini, this occurrence will only lead to a great stagflationary debt crisis. Now, if this happens, the 1970s would only be child's play. From indications, the financial weakness of Greece and Italy may yet trigger a collapse of the European Monetary Union. Also, the financial crisis will lead to more trade barriers and the reshoring of industrial production. That will hasten the further division of our interconnected world. Normally, Roubini takes a stand against artificial intelligence, arguing that it is already leading to dangerous concentrations of corporate power, widening social inequalities, and the spread of disinformation that undermines democratic politics and the importance of white-collar jobs, leading to mass technical unemployment. I do not see a happy future where new jobs replace the jobs that automation snatches. This revolution looks terminal, he opined. Also, there is a silent battle between the US and China over technology supremacy. This will further aggravate the existing geopolitical tensions and can well trigger a war between the two superpowers. But China sure has an edge, seeing that the US might have made a grave mistake embracing China because it accelerated the rise of a deadly authoritarian rival. China will become the largest economy in the world, there's no doubt about that. It's only a question of when, Roubini argues. By this point, you might be able to guess Roubini's conclusions about the climate emergency. All economic or technological strategies that stand any chance of addressing the problem are either politically impossible or extremely costly. In 2015, about 1 million refugees entered European countries, causing massive political and economic instability. Yet that is only a prelude to the vast immigrants to come. With this, Roubini suggests that with only 17 million people in Siberia, Russia's Far East may well be colonized by the Chinese, fleeing the consequences of climate change. Now that we have an idea of the impending doom, what exactly can be done to prevent them? Sadly, not much, Roubini emphasizes. In fact, only 7 pages of his book are devoted to a more idealistic future. While it is hard to dispute much of Roubini's analysis, it would at least have been worth noting that humanity has experienced and endured many terrible times in the past. Great crises have often activated collective action that was unpredictable at the time. Seeing all the past Roubini's past predictions coming to pass, the economists have been given the name Dr. Doom. As expected, Roubini blatantly disagrees with the unsolicited appointment, claiming that the new name fails to recognize that he examines the upside with as much rigor as the downside. If I could choose my nickname, Dr. Realist sounds right, he says. Whatever you choose to call him, we can only hope that the predicted doom does not become reality. Want more updates? Do subscribe to this channel. Also, give us a thumbs up. See you in the comments.